You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching the Meta Show.
Hi. We should be on.
We're live.
Think
We
the button
are
works.
indeed. Success. The button. Oh my. Okay.
So yeah, we're here. Boat's here. Woo! Bo beat. Hi.
We have Killer as guests. Unfortunately, I don't have my green screen today. I've just moved house and still at my apartment, so you get to see the amazing walls behind me. And now my webcam has
Yeah, you just
buzzed out. Trying to focus.
You went robot-y for a second there, and your webcam was like, "I hate you."
But yeah, my connection might be a little bit strange. So robot bins. Oh God.
But is it Robot Philly? That's the question.
Okay.
Is it all of Discord, or is it just us?
I just heard you robot for half a second.
Test, hello?
No, Billy? Yeah, test, I can hear you.
I am Billy. I am not a robot. I am exciting and new.
It's working! Hooray! Alright, so, yeah, right away, I want to share a thing. We're going to share a little GIF here. I found this online, and it was so good of a edited GIF that it went straight to the front page of all of Reddit, not just our Eve. Had over something like 6,000 upvotes. And I've got it open on my screen here. I'm just looking for the button I have to press to do it correctly. And we're going to watch this thing, because it is goddamn amazing. So, hold on. Let me restart it here. For your viewing pleasure. You won't hear anything, because there's no audio. But the writing and the editing are just well done.
Since there's no audio, we can talk over it.
Yeah, we can talk over it. Yeah.
The Matrix still injector GIF, which is one of the biggest changes that we have to use currently, which is alpha clone injectors. I don't know, people didn't really get mad about this in our area of space. They're the kind of thing that I think will make a big and very useful impact for, at least in Imperium space, for us to be able to train up our newbies faster. And something that somebody pointed out here in chat, Killer B, you have him with a PL icon, but he's actually...
Yeah, I noticed this too, and I didn't get it changed quick enough. I forgot that Killer B was an NC not now, so oops, sorry. We also have a lot of shout-outs real quick before we jump into what we're going to be talking about today. So we have Hilfiger, subscribed for 33 months. It says, hope everyone's having a great weekend. I know I am. I'll tell you why in a moment. The Vault 1999, 26 months. Steel Horse 6 months. Kai Trice, just brand new subscriber. And then Frozen Fallout, brand new subscriber. Thank you. Yay. Today's a good day. You want to know why today's a good day? I went shopping today. And I bought a ring. Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Is there a special woman in your life, Boat?
Yeah. yes, I think so. So yeah, it's a nice
Seriously?
ring. Oh yeah, it's a nice ring. It was pretty.
Does she know that you're going to propose?
She
watches the Meta Show or
she has no idea, and she's not watching the Meta Show. She's not up yet, so that's why it's perfect.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then today is, of course, my birthday, so I've been busy with.
Happy birthday!
Oh, thanks. So yeah, it's been a good day. I had a midlife crisis throughout in the middle of the week when I realized 1/3 of my life has just vanished. It was kind of horrifying.
I don't know what to say about that. But let's talk about Eve.
Yeah, let's talk about Eve. Sorry.
Therapy, or we could.
No, but the real thing I meant to say is my grandfather's home. I wanted to tell you. I didn't get a chance to tell you yet. And also the viewers were asking about it. Kidneys are good, fully functioning, and the heart's good. So yeah, he's back home now and healthy and wants to go hunting. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, that's enough updates from me. We're gonna move on to Eve. So we're gonna talk about some CCP pleas in the top story. We're gonna jump into a couple of big topics that are on the table. And then during the nullsec power hour, we'll talk about FCON is officially dead, and our guys at INN did some great interviews with a dead alliance that I think should be a new thing. Every time an alliance dies, just get their alliance leader and ask them questions on why they died.
If they're willing to talk into a postmortem, yeah.
Yeah, and then GOTG is dead in the sense that they are no longer fighting the DRF. They went home. They declared that the Goon invasion is coming, and they must prepare. And that was their reason or announcement today, this week for their line members. And so we're gonna talk about that. And then we're also gonna make fun of some guy that went absolutely batshit crazy. And that'll be the meta show today. I almost said boat show. So shall we get started?
Let's do it.
Yay! Top story! And our two guests here today are Mr. Villi and Mr. Killaby. Regulars on this show pretty frequently, but they're very knowledgeable long-term EVE pilots who do capitals a lot of cap ships. And two really huge topics today are going to come straight out of jump fatigue and alpha clones. We have an article for you to read that kind of gets to the points here, and then we're going to turn our discussion over to everyone. But right away, the first things first is DevPost released this week regarding jump fuel changes. So we got some jump fuel changes. They are shrinking the size of fuel pretty immensely. Once they shrink the size of fuel, they're going to double the amount you need. They're also doubling the amount of liquid ozone, so you can carry enough to light a Sino as you would before. Say you could carry 300, you'll still carry 600. Because they're making the fuel smaller, but it takes more to do it. So liquid ozone just doubled in price overnight. But I heard a rumor that this is a good thing for EVE. I talked to some people in GS-ISK. They said it's a great thing for EVE because liquid ozone had gotten so cheap and minuscule on the market that it became like 20 ISK a unit, which was insane compared to what it should be, which is like 400 or 500 a unit. So I'm excited.
Well, let's be honest here. Liquid ozone isn't going to go back up in price just because of the changes in consumption. Like, the thing is, liquid ozone is like a byproduct of mining heavy water for Rorqual mining. So, like, it's just, there's the supply is 1,000 times what it needs to be.
Yeah.
Do you need liquid ozone for anything but Sinos?
No, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, at that point.
And you get it when you get heavy water, and heavy water for Rorquals like crazy.
Yeah,
it says here, further production of 40% in the size, making it 0.03 per taupe. But then 20% increase in a jump freighter fuel bay. So jump freighters can get more fuel in them, but the cost is going to skyrocket. I'm kind of curious. Killaby, you're an NC dot obviously now. Yeah, your connection's super roboty. We see you just like kind of moving around back there, but we don't hear you talking.
Hey, well, I haven't actually.
But you guys use Caps Titans pretty heavily. I've used Titan. How do you think about this as far as like jumping around? Like, does this affect you guys as much as it affects a jump freighter pilot?
I don't think so because of the Phoebe changes and the reduced jump ranges, the fuel cost of actually jumping around, since you never really jump more than twice in a row, right? Maybe 3 times. They were so like low already that like even double, it's still not gonna matter. Instead of paying like 30 or 50 mil or whatever per jump, like if you travel like 2 or 3 jumps, you'll now pay 100 mil. Nobody really cares.
I'm still here. I'm just off my video.
Oh, okay.
Speeds my connection.
That's fine.
So I don't think it'll affect the capital pilots or anything. I think it'll affect jump freighter pilots, but jump freighter pilots can just offload the cost to the customers, which shouldn't be a big deal because, in my opinion, jump freighter services are pretty cheap all around Nuin. So. Yeah, you could just offload it to the customer, and I don't think that changes that big of a deal in terms of like people's spendings.
Yeah, so I have this question's more for Villi. I know you live in a bit of space that's kind of like pocketed. It's safe from the low sec area. So does this hurt guys like you who live out in the corners of space? I mean, S-Tier is not so much a corner as, say, Paragon Soul maybe, but it's still pretty close to having to have things imported. I mean, does this promote doing things locally, or is importing just going to be really expensive?
Well, both. I mean, it's obviously both. Like, you know, our logistics chain from Empire to Esoteria is like 4 10 light year jumps, I think it is. So 40 light years roughly. at which point you're looking at, almost a full, or I think it takes about 40 to 50,000 topes currently to get like down. So um, it's not, a small journey. And obviously everybody's on the kick to, do local production, because local production sounds awesome. Like, let's make
Right.
all our goods at home, and then we won't have to worry about like all those nasty things. But like, everybody wants to increase local production. It's just local production is fucking hard as shit, because
Right.
you're removing all of the economies of scale that Empire provides and putting them into an area where, I mean, Test is large. We're not goons from large, but we're large. But even still, the economy loss, like in terms of just standardization and player experience and skill cap in terms of production, without that, like, it's just so much harder to get proper goods and the amount of goods you need. Like, saying that I need 50 sabers on market, like, at tomorrow, it's not something that local production can just incorporate into their
Right.
needs.
Yeah, and that's where I look at this, and I honestly think that this is CCP pushing that plan of theirs that they announced a long time ago of, we want localized economies, we want people to go live in deep pockets of space and be able to be self-sufficient, and this seems like an unintentional push. Now, the report here is they had been playing this for a couple of months, and all the guys at the CSM were saying, hey, this is pretty dumb. Don't. If you're going to have to fuel size so they don't have to use as much, then what the hell are you doing increasing the fuel usage to bring it back to where it was? That sounds kind of crazy. I mean, doubling the fuel cost is pretty nuts. But another thing they threw in this, they kind of snuck this in here, is a jump fatigue change. Those of us that Titan Bridge a lot, no jump fatigue can be a pain in the ass. They're looking at a 20% decrease. They're also going to limit it from 5 days to 4 days, and they're going to bring the total max amount down to 9 hours. I heard that this is something that nobody really wanted. I mean, is this what you guys getting? Like, CSP went and fixed something. Hey, look at us, we fixed it, and then rip.
Well, wait.
Can you link the dev block? Because I'm pretty sure all they did is reduce the max fatigue by 20%.
Yeah, right here. 1 second.
Yeah, because that's all I heard was max fatigue by 20% from 5 days to 4 days, which was the most irrelevant fucking change in the world.
And then the max, it was a tweet by Fozzie, so they're doing to a flat timer, and they're also going to limit the max amount period. Let me see if I can get you the dev block here.
So what he tweeted is, he said, it's something I'd like to see us do someday. Right now, the only thing they're patching in with the upcoming patches, they're reducing the max fatigue from 5 days to 4 days, which is absolutely useless. Like, that's just a absolutely pointless
there we go.
change.
Yeah.
If any pilot
saying
like,
they're going to do something someday is like kind of like at some point, like they're going to have buildable stargates, right? So at some point someday.
At some point, we're supposed to get shield slaves.
Right,
at some point, we're supposed to get shield slaves, right? Like.
Yeah. So the Imperial News has a quick summary for you, but here's the official dev blog also. So they're chopping it off, and a lot of people said this wasn't going to go over well with the player base. I mean, you're obviously, both of you just said this is completely useless. I agree. I mean, unless you are a true weekend warrior, this doesn't help you at all, right? Going from 5.
No, this doesn't help anyone. Anyone in like that accrues more than like 12 hours of fatigue is retarded. Like you like the way the exponential stacking nature of fatigue. It's like if you do one jump, it's 1 hour. 2 jumps, you're at like 3 to 4 hours. And then, if you're willing to not play tomorrow, you can take that third jump for like 12 hours to a day or whatever. Nobody does that last jump because then you're gone for a week. So, like, what's the incentive to do that? There is none.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the max fatigue was never really an issue. The issue was the fatigue that you get traveling. Nobody does more than, like Willie said, maybe 2 jumps in a row. And then if you're, like, doing a move up or something, like maybe a third, but that's it. And you never really reach max fatigue unless you're fucking up, and at that point it's a pointless change. It just shows really nicely how CCP just don't really know, even though they have the CSM, and I'm pretty sure the CSM could have told them this, but or maybe they did, but they still changed something that nobody needs, nobody wanted. Literally a waste of dev time.
Yeah.
Why don't we just get it? Like, here's the thing. Why can't we just have a 20% reduction in all fatigue? Like, it literally, you just go into the database, you go, you change the number so it's 20% less, and you're like, done. Fucking players love me. Fucking, oh yeah. Everybody loves me. I am the man. And you know what? We would literally be like, that dev is the fucking man. Love that dude. You know, we would be so pumped for that dude. And all he has to do is go into a database and change 2 fucking numbers, and it would be like the simplest change. And
you say that, but then recently you get again what they were talking about is they're looking at a fundamental redesign. So this looks like they're just gonna patch it, and then they're gonna eventually change it. Like for example, this fuel change, 2 months they spent apparently working on this really complex fuel change, and then nothing. Like they changed it in seconds.
I literally get the sense there's some guy at CPCP that's like does nothing all day. Like he sits on his computer and like, you know, browses Reddit, and then he's like, oh fuck, I gotta say I did something. Fuck. Oh, I'll change jump fatigue and say it took me 2 months to, you know, calculate how this works. Like no, like I'm serious, man. Like the fixes we need are like 2-minute fucking changes. Like literally, some dude's like how long literally, this is not like fucking rocket science to go into the fucking database and be like, I'll change the cap from 5 days to 4 days. Like
2 buttons, 2 months of work.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Yes.
We can go without video for now if it's really bothering. And then
I'm on my laptop.
And then we have this amazing change, in my opinion, very amazing. Again, here we go, link to Imperium News to talk about this. They went through the bullet points here. Alpha clone big changes are announced, official. Again, 20 million skill points. We talked about this before. T2 small medium guns. All factions, the 4 factions, battlecruisers, battleships, and pirate battleships. A set of newbie skills. But the big deal coming out of this is what I think is going to be amazing. It's 20 plex, you know, a very small amount. I think that comes out to be 35 million ISK a day.
60 mil.
Oh, it's 60 mil, so it's even more. Oh, wow. Oh, you're right, 3 million.
A single mini plex is 3 mil.
Right, yeah. There we go.
More than that, actually.
I'm thinking 1.5 bill scaled down. But anyway, 20 plex gets you an injector that injects 50,000 skill points, which is the equivalent of 24 hours of Omega time. Only alphas get to use this injector, and it basically allows an alpha who's playing as an alpha to train up these newbie skills up to 5 million through like almost like if he was really playing the game, and I think that's a really good idea. But what do you guys think? Okay.
Honestly, it seems like mobile game fucking like microtransaction, like let's make some free money, you know, because they have no idea how the system works, or I don't know. It seems so.
And did Discord just die? Oh god. Hello? I don't hear Discord. I heard Discord though. Apparently Discord is just died. I literally just lost the only server. Oh lord. I'm gonna try the Imperium News one. Nope, that's dead too. So we just lost Discord, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like it's a one-man show. One concern here about these daily injectors is they're moving towards a solo, like, what's it called? Pay real money to be an alpha. Like, spend a little bit of money. So you buy a Plex. Instead of using the Plex to pay for your subscription, you use that Plex to pay for your time in game. It says INN Discord is working. Yeah, I tried to go to a channel. It's not. It's not letting me use the audio. Shit. Let's try this. I might have... This might work. We're going to try Skype if we have to. Hello? Well, at least we can call Matani. Try reconnecting. Okay, let's try this. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Technical issues at the Meta Show, ladies and gentlemen. Clearly, I'm the problem. Hold on, let's see if it happens if it restarts. The Mittens just said restart it. It worked when I restarted it. Hi!
But anyway, my laptop has great fucking Wi-Fi.
Hey, we're back! Woohoo! I did it! I don't know why it crashed there. That was weird. Okay, you were saying, Mr. Billy?
I think you might want to ask the question again.
All right, so the question was,
you both answered the question, and like,
oh man, the thing crashed. Like
Are
Discord
we actually online?
servers crashed for me. Yeah, we're
Twitch
here.
online?
Twitch was fine. It was just Discord. So the question is, the Alpha Omega thing where you can get those little mini injectors just for Alpha clones, inject them, they make it work. You were saying why you don't think it's a good idea.
They seem like garbage. They seem like, feeding people fucking breadcrumbs just so they can, get over 5 million SP. And if somebody wants to, go over 5 million SP, they'll just plex regularly for a month or two and then be an Omega or Alpha or whatever, with whatever they need for the most part. This system does not seem like it makes any sense. It seems like it's adding in a level of complexity that wasn't needed.
I just did some boat math. Now, don't correct me if I'm wrong here. But
we will.
A month of Plex, like a month of Omega is only 500 Plex. This system puts like newbies paying 600 million to get a 30-day training going.
Correct.
So it's actually
so they literally pay more. Yes, exactly.
By doing these little microtransactions. It looks like the guy at EA is really kind of taken over how they do alphas. Maybe. Hey, we're gonna make the game free to play, but it's gonna end up costing more at the end of the day. What do you think?
Well, I mean, isn't that sort of the point, right? Like, why would they? This is for people like who, if you want to top up an account for like a week worth of training, you can do it. But if you don't want to go whole hog with like getting an Omega for an entire month, it gives you an option. So you're like, oh, this alt needs a little bit more gas. But CCP would be mad to not. I mean, it should cost more than Omega because it should be an incentive for people to get an Omega than buying the dailies. Because otherwise, why the fuck would you get a fucking subscription?
Yeah, good point.
Okay. If you're so yeah, I mean, it's got to cost. It would have to cost more. That's not necessarily an EA thing. That's a CCP would otherwise go bankrupt.
Like I could see this for me personally, doing this because I want to have an alpha that's eventually a battleship that I could use for hijinks, right? So I don't mind spending the extra money for like 3 weeks worth of this, right? But what do you think, Mr. Killer B?
I think. Wait, are we still talking about alpha injectors?
Yeah, the alpha injectors.
Okay, yeah. So I think they really, like, to me, they don't really matter that much. I sort of agree with Willie, I guess. Like, if you, like, you either commit to the game or you don't, right? Like, and if you commit, you just buy Omega time because it's a better deal. And if you don't, then, well, I guess you could buy, like, 1 or 2 of those alpha things to just, like, test the waters a bit better. But I don't know, man.
Let's be honest here. I have, like, 5 different alphas training. Like, if you've been actually playing on an alpha for, like, 5 fucking months, like to like hit the like skill point cap on an alpha, and you don't know what you're doing, like if you're gonna play or not, like come on now.
Well,
like
this just feels like every other. They're trying to get to a system with these alphas, and I feel like this is where they're going with this. They're testing the waters with alphas to see if they can do alphas across the board. They look at like, for example, you look at games like Arcade or other free to play games that have the option to pay for like little extras, and that's what this feels like. You can play this game free, or you could spend a little in-game money using Plex to then subsidize your account further. And it feels like that's where they're going. And the reason that it's eventually gets to a point where they realize they're making more money doing it this way, and it really fucks the game up.
Well, I mean, I don't, that's sort of the big question, right? Like the subscription model actually works really well for a niche game, and EVE is a niche game, and the desire behind the alpha clone stuff has always been to try to broaden EVE. But what happens if EVE is just the kind of game that about 200 and 250,000 unique human beings across the world want to play, and that's just how big it is. And even they open it up with full free to play. A bunch of people tried the game and they didn't stick. So there's this population now. And you have people who are, I think, aging into EVE Online. Like your EVE population is like military guys, IT guys, military IT guys. People who watch like Block Hawk Down and want to be the squad leader in that movie are attracted to a super complicated, super competitive, hardcore as fuck game. And it's not. It might just be the kind of business model that works better and what was working just fine as a subscription. And simply because the rest of the industry went to free-to-play, CCP tried to follow it. It didn't work. This alpha microtransaction might make it more useful for the existing players that are using alphas for, various support characters and things like that. I just really kind of think that CCP tried the free-to-play thing work, and the demographic appeal for EVE Online What makes EVE appeal to us is not the kind of game that appeals to a mass market.
Yeah.
And so now it's sort of a triage thing, I guess, on CCP's
I
part.
don't think you're ever going to get to that mass market either. CCP's tried so many different ways to do it, and it just never sticks. And
you might lose the core, right? Like if you dumb down EVE too much, like you risk killing the golden goose, right? Like let's say there's 200,000 people that are really into a super hard space galactic conquest simulator, and there's only ever going to be that demographic, and we know the game turns a huge profit because we've seen CCP's financials back in the day. But if you try to make it World of Warcraft and you don't succeed in the process of trying to turn it into a mass appeal game, you might very well risk losing that hardcore group that is actually paying.
Yeah. And then right before the show, we had a little side comment, and we're going to add this to our CCP discussion here. Nerf artillery. Why are we nerfing artillery? What needs to be done here?
Can you give me some introduction on that?
Yeah,
why are we talking about nerfing artillery?
So the comment came up from Billy that how about we just nerf artillery while we're at it? We need to nerf artillery, but there was no real explanation as to why. So I'm curious as to the why. Why should we hit it?
So there was a discussion going on in like the No Leaks channel, which is like the Alliance Leader high FC level,
places,
universe-wide chat about like the fact that artillery is rather broken at the moment, and that it hits insanely far, has solid tracking, does by far the best burst, or alpha I should say, and has like solid DPS. Like there's a reason everybody uses Maelstroms and Macarials, right? Like they're fucking so far above every other, and they have they also have fucking versatile damage type, right? Like the reasons why artillery is so much better than everything else are not a few. Like there are very many, and it's currently forcing the galaxy in terms of the fleet meta into a pretty compressed nature.
Yeah.
We talked about, one of the worries that we had earlier was that the way that CCP usually approaches these things, we're probably going to end up see the Macarial hull nerfed, like the hull, the bonus of the Macarial itself, which probably could use a tweak here and there as well. Like the Macarial does have very strong bonuses.
Oh yeah, it definitely needs a nerf on that.
But they're probably going to like nerf the Macarial instead of nerfing the other part of the problem, which is the gun platform. Because if you look, most of the Macarials run around with T1 arties, right? It's not even a T2 version that they fit, it's the T1 version. And with the Macarial, you can still hit out to like 200 with those. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think someone here says, someone that I trust with this kind of stuff says, Artie's not the problem, it's the platform. It's the ability to fit 8 T1 guns on a giant artillery. 1400s on a Maelstrom. It's just devastating, right? Like in today's day and age, you have remote reps. Remote reps dominate the game. Fleets that have them usually win versus fleets that don't. Until you see Macarials. Macarials can really go without remote reps, and less remote reps than, say, another fleet, because they're just going to alpha the other fleet. Right? You're going to hit so hard that you just alpha them, they blow up, and remote reps never matter. Right? Except for maybe extreme high tie-dye, if that. So, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion. The thing is when you nerf remote reps, what comes next? Artillery. What comes next? I mean, where do people go from there? Because the fact that artillery works on everything. I mean, I've seen pulse abaddons used or beam abaddons. Do people go to,
Honestly, the rest of the battleship metas moderately balanced. Rattlesnakes are good. Nightmares are good. Pulse, variety of things are good. Even railguns are pretty solid in a lot of situations. It's just that artillery is like 10-20% better in like the vast majority of situations. So especially when it scales a lot better in fleet situations. Like if you knock the Macarial down, like not the Macarial, but artillery down a peg or two, then you're in a situation where, in theory, the playing field should be pretty fucking level.
Yeah, I think I see. I don't know. I almost want to think, and I mean this is my craziness, that autocannons, blasters, the ultra close range stuff that make you go close. So like when you use conflag on pulses and you use the T2 blaster ammo, that it should do an insane amount of DPS. So much so that it makes a fleet of 100 like blaster rocks really valuable. But
Boat blasters never going to happen. Stop trying to make blasters happen.
But like a brawler, like one that gets in there and it does just an absurd amount of damage. So you have the option, right? Do you take the?
Yeah, we did those in 2005, and it's not coming back.
It's gonna.
What do you think if they just got rid of the ability to firewall missiles? Like if you just made it suddenly that missiles are invulnerable, how do you think that would shake up the meta?
Ooh.
It wouldn't. Missiles. The issue with missiles in terms of fleet combat has always been the firing
travel time.
Like travel time. Yeah, like the fact that it takes my missiles like fucking what like I don't know 10 seconds to get to the target. Like
where really far.
Well, you were there in the era of Drake fleets, right? I mean, firewall. And he's saying if they get rid of firewalling, you can't firewall missiles.
Yeah, you can't get rid of travel time, right? Because that is one of the advantages of missiles. Of course, they got a very, very long range. But a way that you could possibly shake up the meta to at least make missiles somewhat more viable would be to remove the firewalling possibility. And travel time would still be a problem, but
the big thing that made Drake's like useless or not as good was signature on top of the firewall, right? Like, you could fight I think the big one of the big issues or things that had a lot of trouble in terms of what am I trying to say here? You just couldn't fight like armor hacks or anything with low signature radius at a time when that was pretty common, because anything that had low signature radius was all but I don't want to say invulnerable, but you look at like a 50% damage reduction on a Drake where it's only got 400 DPS to begin with, and then it's got time delay on the missiles. Like, there's no way you're going to break through anything with 100k, EHP.
They didn't have missile
not to
guidance
mention
computers
something with like 200.
Like in that era. Like now we actually have mid-slot.
Yeah, but if you use missile guidance computers, then you're sacrificing, mid-slot tank, right? Like,
so and that
doesn't really work.
And that brings us to our, I guess, next topic in here in the CSP, please. And then I include this here because I'm curious as to which is better. And it's the initiative snipe ravens, which MJD around and use the fact that missiles still hit as long as you're on grid and not warping, because MJD breaks that rule. You can MJD around and kind of warp around without having to lose your lock. Or the snipe rocks that NC Dot has made popular as of recent. I prefer the snipe rocks. I think they're a lot better, and they can have a lot more tank for what they do compared to the Raven. But I'm curious what you two think.
Yeah, so I mean, I like the rocks better, but I think it depends on how many people you can get in fleet. We talked about this a little bit before the show. You basically, when you hit the numbers that NC is capable of getting, that Goons is, would be able to get, you can easily do rocks because you get like 100 plus battleships, and at that number you can basically volley anything. But smaller entities like Init, they can't really do that, so they need to do Ravens instead of rocks because they have a higher volley, they have a higher DPS, they can break stuff with 40 to 50 Ravens, where you probably need like 80 to 100 rocks to break anything or volley stuff, right? So that's just a pure numbers game, but I think if you have the numbers available, the rocks are better.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. The rocks have better tank. They have instant application. Like, it's just, they're stronger, but they have obviously like significantly lower DPS. And if you, if you don't have a way to, how do I put this? If you don't have a way to,
I mean,
I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Fuck.
Is it possible? Okay, we speak to Max City to 200. Is it possible to do it with the Mac fleet instead of rocks? Could you have a 200k RD Mac? That was just
the thing is
ridiculous.
No, like you have to use a doctrine that's basically specialized for that range. Because, like, if you use 200k max, then I'll just undock my Mac fleet and refit the mids as necessary and shoot back.
Oh, it's because the Ravens and Rocks can hit over 200. Yeah, okay, I see.
Yeah, you can hit out to 300.
Over 300.
That's right. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so we're gonna move on now to nullsec power hour. Hopefully, Mittens is back for this.
I'm still here. Yep.
Yay! So we're gonna talk about a dead alliance. All right, so the nullsec power hour today brings us a dead FCon. We've been talking about FCon for the last 3 weeks, but they are finally dead. And INN recently did something that I haven't seen done before, and it's a very well done thing, is to interview a dead alliance. So they went in and interviewed Tarquinius. This interview is great. If you have the time to read through it, I highly recommend it. This was very well done. And they also did a why is it that FCON and Phoenix Federation fail cascade in, like an inside look. So these two articles on INN do a really good job of highlighting this. But to give you some key points and to where we're at now, Tarquinius talks about his role in the DRF and claims that FCON will still be the equivalent to XX Solar going forward. He also admits that FCON had a really toxic FC atmosphere, totally not the democratic system that was the problem. He felt that his handling of the Alliance CO position, he'll be handing over the Alliance CO position to Jake Lightman, but they're still talking about who will take over as the executor, which I'm kind of confused, because isn't the Alliance CEO, isn't Mittens? I mean, really confused.
Well, it depends. I mean, some alliances, they'll have the alliance leader, and then there'll be a different executor, and just adds complication and stupidity.
Democracy. Who's running the Senate versus who's the president? Really, really big pain. But yeah, they're dead. I mean, they've lost 2,500 pilots in the last 2 weeks. It's a shell. It's gone. FCON can now go die quietly. But the question and the reason for bringing up FCON is you two have been fighting, using FCON as kind of like the excuse to fight each other, I think. But where's it go now? So FCON's dead, gone. I was hoping they'd be here to talk about this, but they're not. Does NC still stay south? Do they still play in the south and use, Curse as a playground?
Yeah, we've been getting pretty good content down here, dropping, citadels on test grid, or shooting their citadel in oh shit. And then there's plenty of timers going on between a bunch of Russian groups down here as well. Red Alliance is pushing on the Scourge and stuff, or actually, no, they're helping each other. This is very confusing. Russian politics I don't really get, but basically there's a bunch of Russian groups that are fighting down here. And there's some good timers that those guys fight over that you can have fun with. And then obviously this thing is still not 100% over, because Tri is still pushing on Solar, and now that the northern thing between the DRF and the GOTG is over, I'm assuming that the DRF will deploy, or at least commit some forces back down south again to assist Solar. So we'll see how that plays out. There's still plenty of content to be had down here. I think it's a good place to be.
Okay, Mr. Villy.
All right, so what information do you want to know?
What's your take on the war going forward in a post-FCON environment?
Okay, so nothing really. The lines are kind of drawn pretty well. In the west, you've got obviously all of Test and Legacy through Catch all the way down to Paragon Soul. We've pretty much secured and cemented our borders. Oh, Goonsworn Federation Wyvern just died.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, I get the Z-kill notification things. Oh, great.
Where did we lose?
We lost a Wyvern and Great Wildlands, apparently.
We have got a Wyvern and Great Wildlands.
Yeah, okay. News to me. Probably space violence. But anyways, go ahead, sir.
Whole violence, yeah. Anyway, so we're all secured. Peel and NC Dot are obviously both deployed on the edges of our space in both Jamunda and Oshit, although Peel's been moving into Oshit a little bit. But basically, they haven't, been able to effectively win any timers in Catch on the offense. Obviously, they can win defensive timers because the advantage is pretty heavy. We can win those timers in Catch if we really put the effort in, but nobody really wants to because it's just such a grind to kill fucking anything. So the West is pretty secure. On the East, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy, who have withdrawn from their push into drone region space. So they've got their Citadel left and a couple small systems, but DRF is basically cleaning those up right now, and they're starting their move, I would assume, towards their southern border to begin assisting Solar shortly. I don't actually know that, but that would be the obvious the play. Solar has been fighting with Triumvirate over Innsmother and Detroit. They've been primarily, I don't want to say losing, but losing ground. Because when you're losing, AFCON lost, you're feeding fleets daily and you're just getting your shit pushed in really hard, and it makes it really easy for the defender, or for the attacker, I should say. But fighting Solar is not exactly fighting FCON, as I'm sure you can all imagine. So,
Yeah.
Triumvirate's making progress, but it's slow, grindy kind of progress. I think they killed a Solar Ratting Super maybe like last week or something.
Yeah,
but
they did.
I
They
can't
killed a
remember.
couple of them recently.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just standard stuff.
So
So that's where most of
oops, sorry.
the pressure in the east is focused. Triumvirate has actually moved their staging from IES more eastward to better support that campaign, is my understanding. And then you have the remains of FCON's Rome, I guess you could say, burnt and broken, where the Red Menace Coalition, at a period basis, supported by a Goonswarm Federation, and now NC Dot and PL, are moving into Amencia, and for the most part are actually getting their shit pushed in by none other than the culture, because apparently Red Alliance is garbage at Sov warfare.
Oh, wait a second. Actually, this is something that came up earlier, Billy, and I want to ask you. I'm just going to
Yeah.
put you on the spot here, which is, doesn't Test have a NIP with RMC also?
Only in Paragon Soul. And
But it just doesn't. It doesn't cover cash.
The only reason we have that NIP. The only reason we have that NIP is because of you guys. Because literally, like, Red Menace, like, fucking, I don't know if they were just trying to bully us around or something, or I don't know. I got mad at them one day and went into their fucking period basis, reinforced their staging system, reinforced their Fortizar on the border or whatever. And the next day there was 200 Goonswarm carriers sitting on the in-gate to period basis with, fighters deployed 2 hours before the op. I was like, all right, so I'm not allowed to go fucking.
Look, my ass is going to have to go digging through like fucking Diplo logs. Like if the screeching between, I don't even know where the screeching is coming from. It reaches a level where.
Anyways, hang on,
I gotta.
It's long over.
I want to know
this is like 8 months.
What regions are covered between like
period basis, Paragon Soul, like, and Esoteria, obviously. Like, RMC can't hit our shit in Test Sov, and Test can't hit RA's shit in period basis. That's the extent of our NIP, and who knows how long that'll last. So
that's interesting.
Okay.
Because you mentioned that Goon's helping RMC in Amencia. I don't know.
Well, I think that's just a rhetorical ellipse because it's.
Oh no, you guys have helped him a couple times.
We have.
We have. Because I've been told. I got told very, very clearly, do not get involved in that. And I wasn't allowed to go there, which is why Bomberoff is somewhere else. And I'm not even.
Well, I mean, apparently we're invading Declan. I mean, before I wanted to find out about the RMC stuff, I was going to ask about the impact of darknesses on deploying to see whether that was, how was that going to change things for you guys up north. But no, there's no official support for RMC and the NC stuff because they're fighting alongside NC, and we're apparently invading Declan, so that's keeping us busy.
Yeah, so that's the next point here, and I want to get Killer B's opinion on this because I had a guy in NC tell me this, and I've had a guy in the DRF tell me this, and a guy in GOTG now. So I've had 3 sources tell me this, that the reason that GOTG is pulling out, the real reason, is that the DRF made a deal with GOTG that if they stop supporting FCON, let FCON die in the south, that GOTG would just go home. I've had 3 people tell me this, and I'm curious what you think. Is that real, or is that just some bullshit?
I think that's real. FCON was basically already sort of dead, and we knew that when XX was going to be committed more up north, that FCON wasn't going to stand the pressure. So that was like sort of done deal. And like at least in my like neither me or Vince or anyone is really worried about you guys invading Decline. Like I don't think that's going to happen. Why would it? So I that sounds really weird. That sounds like something that like corp directors come up with.
Well, here's the thing.
When they think why they did that.
So this came straight out of Sort, and we're going to talk about this here. Sort told his members when he initially announced his move back that I'll tell you guys later, but we need to go home right now. Shit's real. We got to get home. Everybody get home. Go. Get home. Then a couple, like 4 or 5 days later, he goes, oh, by the way, the reason we had to pull out is it's starting to look like a Goon invasion of Deck. This is how we did it to them. We slow played. We brought a few small groups. We slowly poked paired bases. And now the Goons are really going to hit it hard. And we just got to get home to defend this.
All right.
That was straight from Star Trek.
I mean, we all know that, narrative is important to justify certain moves. Maybe there was some disgruntlement in the GOTG member base that justified sort to say something like that. But like I said, I'm not really. I don't know. Like
you're not hearing
the
anything from
deployment. Yeah, the deployment and stuff that you guys are doing, like around or like whatever that is up in like Pure Blind, you're fighting Horde occasionally and stuff. You're killing gating Titans, and that's cool. But we have similar deployments like that from all various alliances. I don't really see an invasion.
Yeah.
I guess our squads are so fat now that because goons love Cheetos, that when we have a squad move, it becomes like an Imperium deployment. I think it's just one big fat joke.
So Billy, you'll like this, and I think Mittens will too. You two have both have dealt with Zungen and talked with him before, and if you've ever heard Zungen in a meeting, and you ask him, all right, how's Black Ops doing? He'll be like, everything's fine. Or I forget the exact wording he would use, but he's always very just chill and laid back, and there really isn't anything to get him. And so this kill happened this week. So as Killaby just mentioned a minute ago, a guy had came back to Eve and was gating his Titan through Pure Blind. And Zungen comes on comms and is like, hey guys, so I was just, doing some scouting or moving my hauler or whatever it is he said. And I just happened across this Titan. He's taking gates. He's gone 2 gates so far. Anyone want to kill it? Just very chill, very relaxed. And then he dies. We kill this guy in Ewok and Ragnarok. But the best part about this is the guy comes into a chat with me.
Wait, is that Killabilly's alt we're talking about?
So this guy chats with me and goes, oh, by the way, this belonged to Killaby before, but it was really my alt, and I just haven't played in 3 years. And so now that we have Killaby here, I'm curious, what happened to your friend? Like, did he just go away from the game and forget the Titans could take gates, or like, how did he die?
Yeah, so I'm not really sure. Like at first, I never had access to that account, obviously.
Oh, obviously, yes.
So, but apart from that, like, I messaged him on WhatsApp because we used to be in a corp together, and I have him on WhatsApp, and I was like, dude, why did you like move your Titan in the middle of the night? Like, why didn't you tell me? We could have moved you safely and stuff, right? Like, he's like, no, that wasn't me. Somebody hacked my account, right? But I can tell from the logs that like between you and him, the convo you had with him, that it was him, because that English was so bad, and his English is so bad. Yeah, I was like, that must be 100% him, right? Well, so I'm pretty sure he's just a little bit embarrassed, and he like claims his account.
Like all the PL guys in whatever channel that we're all a part of, they were like, yeah, that's Killaby. That's definitely Killaby at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, well, it can't be Killaby because the English is horrible. And your English is pretty competent when you type. So I was reading that going, that there's no fucking way. But it was kind of a hilarious experience.
That's pretty hilarious, yeah. So we kind of laughed at him in our WhatsApp group the day after, and he still claims it's not him, but we all just kind of don't believe him. He quit like you said, he quit like 2 or something years ago.
Right.
Maybe he was drunk because it was 4 a.m. in the morning, or maybe he was, I don't know, just trying. Like, I have no idea.
I just thought it was interesting that he's like, yeah, I haven't played in 2 years. This account hasn't been logged in 2 years. And then like a second later, I linked him a kill mail from a year ago, and he's like, oh, well, I mean, that was my friend who was babysitting my account, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I got a segue on this one, actually.
Yeah, sure.
The joke, of course, about people claiming a Titan alt that dies wasn't actually there, along with somebody else, made me think of Manny's infamous Leviathan in the Fountain War, which totally wasn't his. But then that brings up another point. One of the most interesting aspects of the war up north has been, Manny has hooligans now as his group, and he's been going against PL. He's not here, but I was wondering if Killer or Billy, have you guys seen them being active? Is that still a thing up there? Is Manny's group still doing stuff? Yeah.
Like, I think Manny's basically running like the drone control unit, like mini coalition of the drone regions. I know he got his ship pushed in by Skill Yourself, I think, like
that was
a week ago or a couple nights ago. Like, Jesus, that was rough with like rattlesnakes and shit. Like, but he's active and doing stuff as far as I can tell.
Yeah, see, Eve is very unique because you always hear the phrase, a lion can lead sheep, but sheep can't lead lions. In this case, you have someone who's as good as Manny is at FC, trying to lead around a bunch of renters, and they're getting shit on by even small gang PvP groups. I think a little alliance of like 30 members was able to keep them like tied down fighting over Saw for like 6 hours. It was kind of sad. Just the amount of
Manny's a fucking
to be fair,
though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy that he's shooting PL and is no longer affiliated with them because he, as much as he and I went at each other over and over again. I mean, in many ways, he was like, I used to always refer to him as sort of like PL's version of Boat, right? He was somebody who would just, put ass in chair and grind you to death. So yeah, good.
Thanks for the subtle compliment there.
I think it's a compliment. I mean, you guys you're both absolutely fucking relentless when you set your minds to something, and that can be very dangerous.
Yeah, and so that's the GOTG thing. But it is an interesting point, and I was hoping Tri would be here to discuss this, because what happens now that the GOTG is gone? Does the Russians move on Branch, or do they turn around and come back south and go after Tri? And I did... go ahead, sorry.
Alright, I don't think Russians will start and attack the north. I think they will assist Sola in the south, and I think they will obviously make things a lot harder for Tri. But Tri has already sort of said that as well. They already know.
Yeah.
Basically the second Sword announced he was deploying Black, Tri knew, okay, well, it's gonna get a lot harder for us again. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. I don't think Tri alone can obviously compete with the entire DRF, so we'll see how they do. But you gotta give some credit to Tri. They've been fighting their teeth out for the last couple of months, and I think they're doing pretty well for themselves. So
I heard a thing, and this comes directly from probably the most authoritative person in the DRF, that the Russians don't forget, and Branch will eventually get its.
Was it Ander?
That came from XDeath himself.
Okay.
So. What that means, who knows? Because whenever I talk to XDeath, I feel like I'm talking in code, and I have to decipher everything and break it all down and to figure out what the hell he really means. But that's basically what he told me, is that eventually they're going to get theirs. And I asked him, because we all know the DRF. They tend to buy people off. Let's be honest. If they have a problem, they'll throw money at it. That's how they solve it. They want to keep their rental empire nice and peaceful. So they'll pay people off, and those people fuck off. And I asked him, I said, look, did you buy off GOTG? He goes, no, I didn't need to. They're bitches. They ran home. So
yeah, that sounds like XDeath.
Speaking of, I think this is the first time we've had Killaby on the show since he left PL. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Because last time I was asking you questions about PL's renter system, but now you're not in PL, so you're free to potentially say whatever the hell you feel like about them. Kind of like Manny has also left the PL embrace. So I got asked a question in the Fireside chat today about what the fuck is going on with PL. There's been a lot of drama on Reddit, and a lot of people were, it really hit the news when you left PL. So basically, what the fuck is happening over there, Killa?
PL hasn't really changed much. Nothing really happened within PL that drove me to leave. It was just that I didn't really have fun playing the game, and I was looking for reasons why that was the case. I tried to blame CCP, I tried to blame all the other stuff, but I just figured I didn't really come up with a reason why I don't like it. I just figured I needed change, and I didn't want to. So obviously now that there was a lot of people that were like, well, you say you want to change, and you go from PL to NC. That's the least change you can do, but there's actually a lot of things different between the two.
Like what?
At least internally. So that's why I wanted to try it. I've been thinking about joining NC for a longer time, but I never really wanted to do it because I love the PL community. I love being a part of it, and but it just got to the point where I decided, I feel like I need to change. So I decided to join NC, and so far I'm really, really happy over here.
What's the differences there?
Get tired of paying rent for your systems?
No, we still. The rental systems for NC and PL are exactly the same, so all those answers are still the same. But
I was about to ask that.
No, they're exactly the same.
What's the difference then? I mean, what?
So the main difference I think is I feel like obviously you have a lot more people, right? NC dot is a lot bigger than PL. That's one big difference, and the other is. It's a little bit there's more corp culture than there is in PL. PL doesn't really have corp culture, right? So PL is all about the alliance. PL is all about there's basically no corp in PL has their own Discord or something like that, right? And in NC dot there's a lot more corp culture stuff going on. There's corp fleets, corp stuff, and it kind of creates a different alliance culture as well. There's still an alliance culture in NC dot. obviously, but it's different. It's very hard for me to say. Like I have a hard time expressing what I want to say with words, but it just feels different. I don't know. I've only been here for 2 weeks as well, so keep that in mind. Maybe if I'm again on the show in like a couple of weeks or something, then I can maybe answer this better. But
No, that's a good point, because I like to think there's a sport that I did called wrestling, and our coach always said that, it's a team sport, but it has or an individual sport with a team concept, right? Each corp functions on their own. Goons have this. You have Saturday Night Swarm with Karma Fleet, and you have various groups that will just like take their whole corp and deploy somewhere and go do things. But overall, they still function as the alliance. Like Mintz is still the boss and has the final say, but corps tend to have their voice heard. And
Would you say that PL or NC Dot is like which of the alliances?
He said NC Dot's like that.
Is more relaxed, Killaby? Like, is PL more relaxed or is NC Dot?
I don't think it's like relaxed or not relaxed. I think it's just different. Like it's just different. Like I don't know how to. It's very hard for me to explain. In PL, it is a lot like. Basically, let me put it this way, right? When you come back from work or whatever, you get back to your computer. In PL, you join Mumble, and you have a Mumble channel where like 20, 30, 40 people are in and it's from all different corps. It's just one big alliance sort of channel. Everybody hangs out. They all like mine or make money or do something together. Sometimes they go, just like hunt some people down, whatever. We just hang out sort of thing. And on NC Mumble, it's a little different. You go on Mumble and you have like you have like the corps hanging out in their channel, and then they talk to each other. You can go into each corps channel, you can hang out with them, you can have a good time. Right now I'm just hanging in the Shiva channel, right? And then I have all the Shiva people there, and we just talk to each other. So that's like sort of the difference, right? Like there's more of a corp culture in NC than there is in PL. And I don't think that's good or bad. Like I wouldn't qualify it as better or worse, but it's different. And that's what I look for. I look for something different. And that's what I have in terms of in terms of that at least. And then, like
so
I said, obviously,
you didn't like get kicked for whelping those dreads or anything.
Oh
like
no. I mean, I did a bigger whelp than that or anything. Like it was no drama, nothing at all. Everything is on good terms. Like I wrote with Elise, I wrote with Grath and Headliner and everybody. I was like, yo guys, basically I told them what I just told you. I just need a change, so I'm gonna join NC Dot, and it's obviously not a big deal because PL and NC are bros. So I will still be working with PL. We are still going to do fleets together. We're still going to, fight together when we want to. And I'm still going to meet and hang out with the PL people at the EVE meets and shit. Like, for example, a week after I left, I was at Amsterdam, and I was already in NC at that point. I still hang out with all the PL people. Some NC people came by. It's basically a transfer within the family. It's not very significant. There was some rumors as well that were shared or spread by the lovely Jay, the best Diplo the DRF ever had, Jay, whatever his name is, and Antar Logan. They said that I was kicked or something, and that's just not true.
Well, we heard rumors from inside PL too. Like I heard that it was all like you have your three leaders, Grath, Elise, and whatever the other guy is, Pen of Smash, but they don't play the Eve.
Headliner.
They don't play Eve as much, right? And then you have like the next tier of active people who all handle the day-to-day in PL. Like you have all your FCs, and that there was a lot of infighting in the FC group.
Billy, what's your take?
Okay, so like I'll give like I've got some pretty good insights for a variety of reasons onto like the inside corp culture of PL and so on. And Killaby's got like a good component of it, right? But there's a different component of things that's not really being talked to, is that like PL for like the last 4 or 5 years has kind of built itself on like, feeding, like eating a pizza of shit alliances. Like, it's like, oh, we're going to, eat Brave this week or this month, and we're going to eat, Test this month and CO2 this month and whatever, right? Like there's always been somebody who's really shitty that, fed good kills and kept things interesting or whatever. And even up till last month, right? Or not last month, but like the month before last, I guess they, was it Headliner or Penis Crew? I can't remember. I think it was Penis Crew that was down in QE, and they were just farming up a storm. But for the most part, the large farm culture of like just having easy targets to kill all the time, and you can roam around the map and just get easy fleet victories all the time is really falling away. And it's really having an effect on PL's ability to both I don't want to say recruit because they still got decent recruitment, but it's not the same as it was traditionally, where they're getting these awesome fleet victories every single day kind of thing. It's just having an effect on both their identity and their culture a little bit. And like, I mean, Elise has been around a bit more the last couple weeks trying to like patch holes, I guess, or something. But from what I've seen, they're very much, I don't want to say stagnating, but their experience may be an identity crisis. It's hard to say exactly how to describe it, but there's a hole in like PL's identity that's definitely not being filled.
Here's the thing, and I made this prediction last week. I was talking on my show, and maybe I might be wrong, but I don't see PL surviving another year if they continue on the path that they're on now, with Manny being discussed.
Oh, they're going to be fine, Boat.
Well, and here, what I mean by surviving another year, I mean on the way that they do now, like the level that they function, because they're trying to do what you said, find the easy content and the good fights, which is why they don't bring supers and titans out. But it's getting to a point where they're just getting blobbed. There's too many people coalescing into one solid group. Hell, you even have Snuffbox joining the Imperium. I mean, shit's going crazy then. So it's eventually going to get to a point where that small of a group just can't engage. I mean, you're moving more and more away from Fozzysolve into Citadels, and Citadels are a thing now where you have to either have enough dudes to defend it, or you have to have enough dudes to kill it. And if you don't, you're going to get shut down.
Well, their numbers are not a giant issue because they've got NC to cover the bigger number things they need, and they've got Horde to cover the truly big number things they need. The problem is that attitudinally, the attitude just hasn't mentally changed yet, where they're not the primary driver of conflict. Perhaps, I guess, is the best way to say it. Like for the most part, down in the south here, things that entirely dried up for PL up until NC Dot showed up to kind of give them a helping hand. I don't know. It's kind of weird to describe it like this because I think PL is still a very, very, very dangerous animal. It's just, I think in terms of their identity, they're missing something that has usually been their strong point. I don't know. I'd love to hear what Killa thinks in terms of that.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely hard. Obviously, the meta is very number focused, and you have a very large groups of people. Like Test itself has grown really big and is forming like super strong fleets, for example. So the difference is very noticeable for when really deployed down here. When PL originally deployed down here I actually can't remember, it was like February or something, early in the year. Right, we deployed down here with PL. And we basically went and just like sort of shit on everybody around us, and it was possible because there was no real like the groups weren't really band together. It was sort of the coordination wasn't as good, and everything was kind of a little bit like split up stuff. So we could just go dunk on Provi one day, then here on Brave, then on all of them together with like a carrier blob. We did that twice, and it worked like really good in the first 2 days, first couple of months. But now the whole this whole southern area has really just like it's sort of there's very clear boundaries. There's very clear coalitions. There's very clear lines, like Willie said, very clear like front lines. And so now it's obviously harder to have any sort of impact as a smaller like entity. And like now we had Waffles join PL obviously recently, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's boosting the numbers, but it's just hard.
But to be fair. To be fair, Waffle was showing up for all your timers anyways. Like
yeah, that's true. We merged fleets and stuff before. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, what I'm saying is like, it's just hard to establish yourself in the current meta, but if you just don't have a big blob available, right? And that's definitely something that PL had to deal with, and now we'll have to look how that works. And I mean, this is what NC now NC is down. We can work together again. NC has a bigger fleet available, so we can sort of complement that, and then should be able to do stuff.
Do you
again.
think Alphas is going to make that worse though for PL? Like when you get to a point where another 100 Alphas can supplement a test fleet, is that going to make it harder for PL now that Alphas can use battleships?
No, I actually.
I think it helps PL more than it hurts them.
Yeah, I actually think that the whole like alpha.
It's more noobs for them to feed on.
Yeah, it's not bad. There's going to be more people, and I mean, for like a bigger organized group, like for example for the GSF, right? Now you're going to be able to get all your alphas into Maelstroms or into Macarius or something, and that can be a big deal. But I look at it this a little bit differently, because I look at it this way: if I fight an entity that has such a large group of alphas available, if I fight a group like Goons, for example, if they come up with 250 maelstroms, or if they come up with 500 maelstroms, and this is going to sound weird, but that doesn't really make a difference, because both those maelstrom numbers are so big that there's basically no way you can fight that head on anyways, and you have to come up with some cheesy way to fight it, like either with capitals, like with a huge bomber fleet, with bush rocks or something.
Yeah.
And for that, it doesn't really matter how many maelstroms there are. And that's why I think that these like big alpha battleship fleets or whatever that people suspect that are going to happen aren't actually that big of a deal. Like it's going to matter to some extent, but less than people think.
I would absolutely agree with that statement. And I think one of the most understood components of EVE fleet warfare is just how useless large fleets are if they're not properly led. Like, FCON was regularly putting 200, 250 full fleets out there, fleets that could do real things, but all of their FCs were absolute fucking garbage. And they would, on the fucking daily, get absolutely ass blasted just because their FCs would make the most fucking brutal, fucking, like, simplest, like fucking day one FC level mistakes. And, like, if you can form 250 dudes, awesome. But the difference between 250 dudes FC'd by myself, or Progod, or Killa, or Vince, or Nidaspar, and 250 dudes FC'd by, like, I don't know. You don't remember the names of, like, shitty FCs, but, like, there's a lot of fucking, like, no, I'm, like, dead serious. Like, 250 guys properly FC'd versus 250 guys who are not properly FC'd is just it's a ginormous difference.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's where I see these 100 alphas that maybe the average fleet gets as a huge burst of power. Being able to say to another 100 maelstroms, hit F1. Okay. Doesn't matter if they're new to the game or not at that point, right? Like, it's just another...
Maelstroms are not an I win button that people think they are, Boat. Like,
they are to me!
They die to 20 bombers if they're poorly fucking FC'd.
Yeah, I know.
Alrighty.
But we're out of time.
Well, we are running over a little bit, so I think it's probably about time for us to...
Yeah, so thank you guys for coming, and we have some shout-outs here before we get out of here. We have... Let's see here. Where'd he go? Avida Sensei, D-Turk, both brand new subscribers. Raylamus is 19 months. Rayleigh 2 months. Herfy 20 months, says VFK by Christmas. And then we have the Ventriloquist for 2 months with a Twitch Prime subscribe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I leave you with a bit of crazy. Now that GigX is in the is in GOTG, GigX proceeded to kill a guy who was about to go have fun. Well, I don't think this was GigX, but GOTG did. They killed their own hell because he was going to go fight Pandemic Horde. And so they killed him before he set up his arranged fight. But that's
from what I heard, like he basically said, "Hey, I want to go suicide this hell to Horde." So the guys were like, "Well, you can just basically, if you want to suicide, we'll just kill it." Something like
so they dropped a bunch of Titans and killed him anyway. It was wonderful. So, we're out of time. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.